So along with the panels here on our exhibit, what is the most important piece, certainly historically, is the historic desk from the house that both Edna Beard and Consuela Northrop Bailey sat at. And where we tried to fit this desk in, we tried very hard to have this exhibit mirror the Abnaki exhibit under the west staircase as much as possible. And that obviously has a display case for exhibit of objects, and we wanted to do something similar here. We had to get a little bit more creative because of the desk. So while there is a panel setup that's very similar, the desk is different in terms of its display. And we worked with our designer Shadows and Light to make this desk usable in terms of not just showcasing the desk itself, but also making it available for exhibit as a display. So what I want to do is show you the desk. So this house desk actually does not belong to us. It belongs to the Vermont Historical Society, and they were gracious enough to loan it to us here on a long-term loan. It was sort of touched up and cleaned up by our design team at Shadows and Light. Just some of the normal wear and tear you might find was cleaned up a little bit. The plaques that are on desk 146 were cleaned up and polished as well. And it's interesting in the way that that Vermont held on to this desk. As you all probably know, in the mid-60s we went through reapportionment, and we had 96 desks that left the House chamber. And in one of those sort of dark moments of State House history, we believe this desk was acquired in the early 70s by VHS. There was a yard sale of sorts, if you will, where a lot of desks and things of that nature left the building never to return. And we assume that someone noticed the plaques that are on here and realized the significance of it and went ahead. There's Edna Beard's plaque, 1921 First Lady member, and here is, Consuela Bailey's 1951 First Lady Speaker of the House, 1953. So someone obviously recognized the importance of this and donated this to VHS. Now, the interesting story behind this, in terms of why both women sat at 146, we had always assumed it was because Edna Beard had sat there originally, so it was a natural fit, perhaps, that Consuela Northrop Bailey would have chosen. But that actually is not the case. As I was doing research and reading through Consuela Bailey's autobiography, she notes that she chose desk 146 because it had been where her father sat when he was a legislator in 1900, a half century earlier. So one of those great historical ironies, they both chose that desk, and they chose it for two very different reasons. Bailey talks about how her father's signature was still scrawled inside the desk, clear as day, as if he had written it the day before. This was a really exciting piece of information for us. We were eager to check that out to see if we could still see it. And unfortunately, we were horrified to find when we went to initially look at this desk at VHS that the entire inside had been sanded down. So there is no surviving historical information in there, which is decades and decades and decades of legislators' signatures or notes or who knows what else might have been in there. This is not uncommon. We actually have a colleague who has one of these desktops in her office in 2 Aiken, and the interior of that is completely sanded down as well. So disappointing that when these were prepped to leave after they had been pulled out of the House chamber, very disappointed that all that great history inside was sanded down, but we are at least lucky to have the desk itself. In terms of the historical aspect of this desk, I think it's really telling when Edna Beard first walked in and ultimately chose this desk. I'm going to read you real quickly a piece from the Rutland Herald on January 6 of 1921. They note that for a long time, no mere man had the courage to select seat number 145, the seat right here, which adjoins hers. The seat stood vacant for over an hour until Horatio E. Luce of Pomfret took the dare of his fellow members and sat down beside Miss Beard amid a storm of laughter and applause. Now, it's not clear how much of that was good-natured or legitimate applause, how much of it was jeering, but one can only imagine how that would have made her feel. That's not the best start to your work environment, your first day at work, to know, to have that experience. this sort of joke that somebody has to sit next to you and nobody does for over an hour. So sort of an auspicious start for women in the State House. As we talked about, we did really want to have an exhibit component to this as well. So what we have done here with the 145 desk, which Bailey noted when she served was actually set up by Calvin Coolidge's cousin. Shadows and Light created a great display case here that we can use. This case is completely removable, so nothing has been damaged on the desk. The top has been removed. We have it stored safely so that someday, if need be, it can be put back together. What we've done, and we hope this will become a rotating exhibit of sorts, is we have asked legislators, female legislators, for campaign materials. So we've got stickers, we've got pamphlets, we've got buttons, we've got all those good things in here. And it is our hope that over the years this will be something that we can rotate and always be kind of keeping fresh as new things come in, or as people bring us pieces, or as new women seek a space here in the building, whether it be the legislature, whether it be the executive branch, judicial, whatever it may be. We're hoping to be able to rotate this a little bit. So really important piece here in terms of certainly Vermont history and the history of this building. We are very pleased that VHS has allowed us to take possession of it and use it here in the exhibit. It is kind of the centerpiece of this exhibit, and it is one of the more historic pieces, certainly in any collection related to Vermont women's political history here. So this is kind of the piece that sits in front of our whole display here, and marks two incredible Vermont political trailblazers here.